A little over 25 years ago, I walked into a treatment center, and early on in that process of going through the detox element of it, I wasn't sure what I was gonna experience there. You know, I didn't know if there were gonna be people flopping around on the floor, you know, foaming at the mouth or what. I didn't know, but so I walked around and tried to avoid everybody. There was a very clinical setting, and there was an area there where there was like a little kitchen, and there was this whole bunch of people that were laughing. And the last thing I wanted to do was laugh. And I was scared. I was amazed that I was even in there. And so I tried to avoid the whole thing, and so I walked around and I seen a big grease board, you know, chalkboard type thing, and one of the sayings it had on there that says that we are the people our parents warned us about. And I thought, oh, jeez, what have I gotten myself into, you know? So the first or second night, there was a guy there that came in from outside to speak to the people, and I've said this many times before. I don't know if it was because of what he said, or I don't care, because this is what I heard. And what he said was that we're not the people that we were when we were using, and we're not the persons that we're now, that we're capable of being. And I'm only assuming that he thought that was a warm, fuzzy thing. And I had this kind of a chemical reaction go through my body, and I realized I had absolutely no idea who I was and didn't want to know. And I used for 20 years to not know what happened the first 13 or 14. So as I was going along with that aspect, listening and stuff, and finally got into the treatment part, the clinical part of it, and people were telling their stories, and there was something to my story that needed to be added to, and one of them was what it was like before I ever started using, and my introductions to drugs. Back in my day, I'm 50 years old, so back in my day, the introduction of drugs was some guy with a trench coat in the alley, you know, when you're going home from school and opening up and say, hey kid, you want some candy? And that wasn't my introduction to drugs. My introduction to drugs was my best friend next door. We were playing outside, and his brother and another guy walked up, and from way down the street, you could hear these guys just giggling and laughing, and all that. It was just incredible. When they walked up to us, you know, I'm roughly 12, 13 years old at the time, and I asked them what was going on, you know. They said they were smoking grass, and I thought to myself, well, shit, I've been laying in this, rolling around with this stuff for hours. I just feel itchy and sweaty, you know. But I was intrigued, and they said marijuana, and I had absolutely no idea what marijuana was. I didn't even know what they were talking about, you know. But what was interesting about that was 20 years later, I'm sitting in a treatment center thinking, what was I thinking, or what was I experiencing emotionally before that I desired that fun? And that's when this all kind of started, as far as trying to recognize that this didn't have anything to do with substance. It had more to do with how I thought and believed about myself. And so that's when this whole quest started. With emotional detox, started kind of an accident. I thought maybe I was rationalizing my own mental illness, you know, but I thought if there was a chemical detox, or could there not then be an emotional detox? And I kind of studied on that, and I really do believe I was just making up my own mental illness. I don't know why they didn't put me in psych ward, because I cried every time I shared, and every time there was an opportunity to share, I shared. I shared at every meeting, and when I got into the therapy part of it, I wanted to do it. Let's do it what we ever got to do, and let's just get it going, and so I can get out of here, and I'll be perfect, and my marriage will be better, and my kids will be okay, and all that kind of stuff. And that didn't happen. It was just a beginning. And but when I got out of treatment, and I started to recognize that as I went to different places to speak, and one of them was this place called Sunburst out on Alma School in Queen Creek, as I started sharing out there the concept of emotional detox, what happened was there was a lot of people that were connecting with that. And so it became a concept. So then at different spiritual aspects that I went to, they were talking about the physics and the science of spirituality. Then the dots are starting to connect, you know. And one of the big things was I am was powerful for me. That was just, those two little words just touched me, and I was very intrigued by that. And I couldn't say it. I went to a 12-step meeting one day and said, you know, I really would like to have the opportunity to come to a meeting like this and say, my name's David and I am. And I couldn't even get those words out. It was really struggle just to say that, you know, not to qualify that I'm an addict or I'm a survivor of this or whatever, just I am. It seemed really powerful. And the whole idea behind cause and effect started to come up for me too. And so when I went to go to treatment center out there especially, one of the things that came up for me was we can't do this wrong. We're all co-creators. And what we've created up to this point, if we don't like it, we can change it. That makes us powerful. So more and more I got involved in different belief systems and thought processes and stuff like that. I realized this basic aspect that a repetitive thought creates a belief, which also creates perception, which is supported by behavior. And the things and that part I don't talk about too much because I want to talk about the other part, which is the emotional attachment to that and the self-identity that's created with that. And those are the parts that I want to talk about because the first part's both the cause that creates whatever the effect is. And so given my background, given my family, given the belief systems that I accepted from that system, I created what I created, which was hell on earth and a tremendous amount of low self-esteem. This has come up for me recently. There were certain things I heard in treatment that intrigued me. And one of them was, what do you remember from the ages of 0 to 5 years old? And I didn't remember much. And from 5 to 10 years old, and I didn't remember much. But then I started getting really scared because I didn't remember much, you know. But the things I did remember were, you know, a lot of the chaos and the trauma that was going on in my family. But the other part of that was this whole idea behind the cause creating an effect. And if I can understand the cause, then I can create the effect, and that makes me powerful. And so when I'm talking to people, I'm trying to explain to them, we're powerful. And we've all created, we all co-creators. And what we've created up to this point, if we don't like it, we can recreate it. But there might be an emotional attachment and an identity that we need to let go.